Hello and welcome to English for Everyone, where we practice real-life American English. Today we're going to learn to avoid some important mistakes, so let's get started. This is not correct. The name of the video is How to Buy a Car in U.S. We have to use the article the. We have to say the U.S. It's correct to say how to buy a car in the U.S. I have to use the article the when I talk about the United States. Whether I say the U.S., the USA, or the United States, I have to use the. This is also not correct.
Before buying a car at the car dealership, you first need to find a car that you like. Do I want a small car? Do I want a big car?
Do I want a small car? Do I want a big car? Well, these are not cars. These are trucks. We cannot call trucks cars. They're trucks, not cars. Let's hear another one.
A make is the brand name of the car. Can you guys tell me the brand name of this car?
The brand name of this car? This is not a car, this is a truck. So I have to say the brand name of this truck. Example, what is the brand name of this truck? It's a Toyota. Or I can say, what's the make? What's the make of this truck? The answer, it's a Toyota. Let's practice. What's the brand name of this truck? That's right, it's a Toyota. What's the make of this truck? That's right, it's a Toyota. That's the make. This is also not correct.
For example, this is a Toyota Camry. That's the model. Make is the Toyota and model is Camry.
Make is the Toyota and model is Camry. This is not correct. We need articles. And we need to eliminate some articles. There are three mistakes here. First, when I say make, I have to say the make. The make is the Toyota. We cannot use the with the name Toyota. So it's correct to say the make is Toyota. And model, we need an article. And the model is Camry. This is correct. The make is Toyota and the model is Camry. This is a Toyota Camry. Let's practice. What's the make? That's right, the make is Toyota. And what's the model? That's right, the model is Camry. This is also not correct.
Also, on this car, you can see the price. This car costs $26,503.
When I talk about numbers, I cannot say $26,503. I have to say and. $503. Pronunciation. We don't say and, we say and $503 and $503, not 503, but 503. So the total price is $26,503. When I have a number like this with a 100 or 200, 300, and I have a zero in the middle, I have to say n, and pronounce short n. For example, this is $105, not $105, but $105. Example. This phone costs $105. Let's practice. How much does the phone cost? Does it cost $105? That's right, it costs $105. I cannot say 105, I have to say 105. $105. This is also not correct.
So in case you need an oil change or a missing part or a repair, then that'll be covered within the warranty.
I cannot say that'll be covered within the warranty. We don't use within here, we use under. It's correct to say that'll be covered under the warranty, not within the warranty. So example, if there's a problem, it'll be covered under the warranty. Let's practice. If there's any problem, will it be covered under the warranty? That's right, if there's any problem, it'll be covered under the warranty, not within the warranty, but under the warranty. This is also not correct.
When you buy a used car like this one, it's also very important to know the mileage or the number of miles this car has driven.
I cannot say the mileage is the number of miles this car has driven. We have to use passive voice and say it's the number of miles the car has been driven, not the car has driven. We need been. So example, the mileage is the number of miles the car has been driven. Let's practice. What is the mileage? Is it the number of miles the car has been driven? That's right. The mileage is the number of miles the car has been driven. Not the car has driven, but the car has been driven. You can say the car has driven if it's a self-driving car. A self-driving car has driven many miles. But if there's a driver, then we have to use passive voice and say the car has been driven by a person. That's why we need passive voice. This is also not correct.
If I don't have the cash to pay the car in full, how much will I pay for the down payment, and what is my monthly payment going to look like?
I cannot say I don't have the cash to pay the car in full. I need for. We have to say pay for the car, not pay the car. You don't pay the car, you pay for the car. So it's correct to say I don't have the cash to pay for the car in full. Pronunciation, pay for the car. For is not stressed, so we don't pronounce it for, we pronounce it fur. I don't have the cash to pay for the car in full. Example, he doesn't have the cash to pay for the car in full. Let's practice. Does he have the cash to pay for the car in full? That's right, he doesn't have the cash to pay for the car in full. He needs more cash. This is also not correct.
Buying a car is actually not that complicated as you might think.
I cannot say buying a car is actually not that complicated as you might think. I cannot mix that with as. I have to put as in both places. So it's correct to say buying a car is actually not as complicated as you might think. I have to use as in both spots. Let's practice. Is buying a car as complicated as you might think? That's right, buying a car is not as complicated as you might think. So when can I use that? I can say buying a car is actually not that complicated, and then I end the sentence there. This is correct. But if you continue the sentence with as, you cannot use that. You have to use as in both spots. So I can say buying a car is not that complicated, and end the sentence there. This is correct. Let's practice. Is buying a car that complicated? That's right, buying a car is not that complicated. It's pretty simple. If you have money. So keep watching to practice with more car vocabulary. This is also not correct.
Oh no, I just ran out of gas. My light just turned on, and now I need to head to the gas station to fill my car up with gas.
She said she just ran out of gas. But that's impossible because her car is still moving. She's still driving. The car is still running. It still has gas in it. So she did not run out of gas. She's about to run out of gas, but she didn't run out of gas. She cannot say, I ran out of gas if the car is still moving. If the engine is still turning, there's still gas in it. Example, they ran out of gas. They have no gas in the car will not start. This is when you can say, they ran out of gas. Let's practice. Did they run out of gas? That's right, they ran out of gas. The car will not start. It's not running anymore. They ran out of gas. And don't say this either.
Oh no, my car won't turn on.
Don't say my car won't turn on. We say my car won't start. This is much better. This is what people say. They use the verb start. Example, their car won't start because it ran out of gas. Let's practice. Will their car start? That's right, their car won't start. Why? Did they run out of gas? That's right, their car won't start because they ran out of gas. This is also not correct.
Now I will put this nozzle in the gas tank, and then I will press this handle and start filling up my car with gas.
I cannot say I will press this handle. She is not pressing a handle. This is press. You press a button. But she's squeezing a handle. When you put gas in your car, you do this action. This is squeeze. This is not press. You squeeze the handle to put gas in your car. Let's practice. How do you put gas in your car? Do you need to squeeze the handle? That's right. To put gas in your car, you need to squeeze the handle, not press the handle. Remember, this is press and this is squeeze. They're different. This is also not correct.
And then when you're finished pumping your car with gas, you can just take out the nozzle.
I cannot say when you're finished pumping your car with gas. You cannot pump your car. You pump the gas. So I can change the verb and say fill when you're finished filling your car with gas. But if I use the verb pump, I have to say when you're finished pumping gas in your car. You cannot pump your car with gas. You pump gas in the car. So I can say he's filling his car with gas. Or I can say he's pumping gas in his car. These are correct. Let's practice. Is he filling his car with gas? That's right, he's filling his car with gas. Is he pumping gas in his car? That's right, he's pumping gas in his car. I cannot say he's pumping his car with gas. This is not correct. And keep watching to learn to avoid more mistakes talking about cars. First, this is not correct.
Continuing with the game, this one should be pretty easy for you. What is this called? This is called the front light. You have two front lights and you have two back lights.
They're not called front lights, they're called headlights. Yes, they're in the front of your car, but we call them headlights. Like your head. Headlights. Example, the headlights are on. Somebody turned on the headlights. So now the headlights are on. Let's practice. Did somebody turn on the headlights? That's right, somebody turned on the headlights. Are the headlights on? That's right, the headlights are on. This is also not correct.
These two lights right here, the red lights, are called the back lights or the brake lights. And don't forget to always have your brake lights working, because if not, you'll get pulled over and get a ticket, because that happened to me.
Backlights are not brake lights. We don't even say backlights. They're called tail lights or rear lights. The most common is tail lights. It comes from the word tail. Like a dog has a tail. It's in the back, so we call these tail lights. Tail lights are the ones that come on when it's dark. When it's dark and you turn on your lights, you have headlights and tail lights, and they both come on. So what are brake lights? Brake lights are different. Brake lights are the lights that come on when you push the brakes. When you hit the brakes, the brake lights come on. These are brake lights. And these are tail lights, not backlights. They're called tail lights. So example, the tail lights are on because it's dark outside. He turned on the lights, and that's why the tail lights are on. Let's practice. Why are the tail lights on? Is it dark outside? That's right, the tail lights are on because it's dark outside. He turned on the lights. So the tail lights are on. And these are brake lights. Brake lights are different. The brake lights come on when you push the brakes. When you hit the brakes and you're stopping, the brake lights come on. So the brake lights are on because they're stopping. Let's practice. Why are the brake lights on? That's right, the brake lights are on because they're stopping. This is also not correct.
But this part of the car is called the fender, or you can just call it the rear bumper.
This is not a fender. This is a rear bumper. A fender is something completely different. A fender is the part of the car that goes over the wheel. This is a fender. He's about to work on the fender. And this is the rear bumper. The rear bumper is damaged. They need to fix the rear bumper. Let's practice. Is this a fender? That's right, this is a fender. Is he about to work on the fender? That's right, he's about to work on the fender. He's a mechanic, so he's going to work on the fender. Let's practice. Is this the rear bumper? That's right, this is the rear bumper. Is the rear bumper damaged? That's right, the rear bumper is damaged. Do they need to fix the rear bumper? That's right, they need to fix the rear bumper. So remember the different words. When you talk about the front lights, we don't say front, we say head, headlights. These are headlights. Turn on your headlights. And for the back lights, we don't say backlights, we say tail lights. You can say rear lights, but tail lights is more common. The tail lights are on. And the bumper is different. We don't say tail bumper, we say rear bumper. Rear also means back. So when you talk about a bumper in the back, say rear bumper. This is the rear bumper. This is also not correct.
If there was someone else in this car and you wanted them to put on their seatbelt, you can just say the phrase, buckle up. That means that everyone else should put on their seatbelt.
I cannot say if there was someone else in the car and you wanted them to put on their seatbelt, you can just say, buckle up. The first problem is can. This idea is an example of the second conditional. So we cannot use can, we have to use could. How do we know it's the second conditional? Because the sentence starts with past. If there was someone else in the car and you wanted them to put on their seatbelt, you could just say buckle up. We cannot use can in the sentence. We have to use could. And do you see another problem? That's right, was. We're not supposed to use was in this sentence. We're supposed to use were. Because in the second conditional, after if, the action is not real. To express an action that is not real, we use past. But this structure is special. When using the second conditional, you're supposed to use were for everybody. If I were, if she were, if it were for everybody. So it should be, if there were someone else in the car and you wanted them to put on their seatbelt, you could just say buckle up. But there's one more issue. A lot of Americans don't follow this rule. A lot of Americans use was instead of were for this structure. But not all the time. Example, I wouldn't do that if I were you is correct, and Americans do not use was in this situation. If an American said, I wouldn't do that if I was you, it sounds bad. So what's the solution? Always use were. If you always use were in the second conditional for everybody, you know you'll always be correct. It doesn't matter what mistakes Americans make. Always say it right. It's less confusing that way. So if you always want to be correct, use were for everybody to express an unreal situation. After if. This is also not correct.
When you turn on the car, you can see lights flickering right in front of you, and that is called the dashboard. The dashboard has gadgets like the speedometer that will help you see the speed of the car.
You can see flickering lights come on. These lights are not flickering. Flickering lights are lights that are shining irregularly or unsteadily. Example, these are flickering lights. I can say these are flickering lights or the lights are flickering. They're not shining constantly. They're shining irregularly. But in your car, when you turn on the lights in the dashboard or in the instrument panel, they come on, but they don't flicker. They're not supposed to flicker. They just come on. So you cannot say you see flickering lights on your dashboard. You see lights on your dashboard. They're not flickering. These lights are flickering. I can say these are flickering lights and use flickering as an adjective, or I can use it as a continuous action and say the lights are flickering. Let's practice. Are these flickering lights? That's right, these are flickering lights. They're having problems with electricity. Maybe there's a storm. I'm not sure. Are the lights flickering? That's right, the lights are flickering because they're having electrical problems. Let's practice. Why are the lights flickering? That's right, the lights are flickering because they're having electrical problems. It's not good. Now let's talk about these lights. You can say dashboard lights or instrument panel lights. Both are correct. And we can use the phrasal verb come on. The dashboard lights come on. Or I can say the dashboard lights up. In the present, lights up. I use the phrasal verb. The dashboard lights up. In the past, lit up. We hear the T in lit as a fast D. Lit up, lit up. In the past, the dashboard lit up. Let's practice. Did the dashboard lights come on? That's right, the dashboard lights came on. Did the dashboard light up? That's right, the dashboard lit up. This is also not correct.
Right here is called the cup holder, which you normally store bottles of water or cups, but this is an empty bottle of water.
I cannot say right here is called a cup holder. When I say is called, I need a subject. I need a subject like this. I can say this is called a cup holder. If you want to say right here, sure, put it in the middle. This right here is called a cup holder. But I cannot say right here is called. I need a subject. This right here is called a cup holder. Let's practice. What is this called? That's right, this is called a cup holder. Or I can say this right here is called a cup holder to emphasize the location because it's right here. This is also not correct.
Most important thing, in order to keep your car clean, you need to have a good mat. So this is just a typical leather mat you would use on the floor of your car, and it is easy to clean because you can just wash it.
The car mats are made of leather, so they'll be easier to clean. First, car mats. It's better to call these floor mats. Floor mats is a lot more common, and they're not made of leather. Leather is not easy to clean. They're made of rubber or plastic, sometimes carpet fibers, but they're never made of leather, and it's better to call them floor mats. Floor mats are made of rubber or plastic. These are floor mats. Or you can say car floor mats, but floor mats is the most common. Let's practice. Are floor mats made of leather? That's right, floor mats are not made of leather. So are floor mats made of plastic or rubber? That's right, floor mats are made of plastic or rubber. So keep watching to learn more vocabulary about cars.
Hey Kevin, look at the dashboard and instrument panel.
That's right, this is the dashboard and this is the instrument panel. But normally we don't call these instruments, we call these gauges. 1 gauge, 2 gauges, 3 gauges, 4 gauges. Keep watching until the end of the video and practice with all the different types of gauges. For example, this is the temperature gauge, this is the tachometer, this is the speedometer, and this is the fuel gauge. They're all gauges.
It's lit up like a Christmas tree.
It sure is. It's lit up like a Christmas tree. Use the phrasal verb light up. In the past, lit up. And the description, the adjective is lit up. We hear the pronunciation of the T in lit up. It sounds like a fast D. Lit up. Da-da-da, lit up. It's lit up like a Christmas tree. There are a lot of lights on.
What about the red light? It's on.
This red light here?
Yep.
That's for your seat belts.
Can you buckle up?
Yes. I can fasten my seat belt. Remember, with the verb fasten, the T is silent. It's not fasten, it's fasten. Fasten is the verb. It says I need to fasten my seatbelt, so I did. I fastened my seatbelt in the past.
Or you can say buckle up.
That's right, you can also say buckle up.
Look, the light is gone.
That's right, no more light. No more seatbelt light because I fastened my seatbelt. The check engine light is on. That means there's a problem with the engine and I need to take the car to the mechanic and find out what's wrong with it.
When are you going to take the car to the mechanic?
I need to do it pretty soon, but I don't think it's anything major. I think it's a minor problem. But I need to take the car to the mechanic, have the mechanic look at it, and find out what's wrong. I use the phrasal verb find out. It means to discover. It's the moment you receive the information, you find out. I need to take the car to the shop, have the mechanic look at it, and find out what's wrong.
What about the wrench?
Oh yeah, that's a little wrench right there. Remember the word wrench. The W is silent, so it's pronounced with the R sound first. Wrench. That's a little wrench, and it means that we need to have our oil changed.
When do you want to get the oil changed?
We can do it right now. We can get the oil changed right now.
Sounds good.
Let's go.
Let's go.
We're here at Jiffy Lube because we're going to get the oil changed in the car.
Are they working on the car right now?
Yeah, they're changing the oil. So I say we're having the oil changed. Or you can use get. We need to get the oil changed. You can use the verb have or get for this structure. Have the oil changed or get the oil changed.
Why do we have to use this structure?
Well, it's when you pay someone to do a job. You don't do the job yourself. I can say I changed the oil, but I'm not going to change the oil. I'm paying someone to do it, so I use the structure. Have or get the oil changed. And the name of the place is Jiffy Lube.
What does jiffy mean?
Jiffy comes from the expression, if you do something in a jiffy. Do it in a jiffy means you do it fast. They're going to do this job fast. And lube is short for lubrication because oil is a lubrication. So it's called Jiffy Lube because they change your oil really fast.
Is it expensive to get your oil changed here?
A little bit, yeah.
How long will it take?
It won't take long. That's right. The question is, how long will it take? We use it to refer to time. I don't say how long will they take. I say how long will it take? How long will it take? It won't take long. They're going to do the job fast. That's why the name is Jiffy Lube. It's pronounced gauge. That's right. The AU makes a long A sound. Gauge. The long A, like in day, and say and pay. Gauge. The first G is a hard G sound, followed by the long A, gay, and the second G is the J sound, like in juice and jump. Together, gauge. You have one gauge and many gauges. These are gauges. You have gauges on your car, and you need to check your gauges while you're driving. It's important to check the gauges. And what's the most important gauge? Well, I think the most important gauge is the speedometer. Pronunciation, speedometer. The most important gauge, for me, is the speedometer because you're always checking the speedometer. You're always checking to see how fast you're going. You check the speedometer to see how fast you're going. That's the most important gauge. Let's practice. Do you need to check the gauges while you're driving? That's right, you need to check the gauges while you're driving. And what's the most important gauge? That's right, the speedometer is the most important gauge. Let's talk about different gauges. You also have this gauge. This is the temperature gauge. Pronunciation, tempera. Not temperature, but temperature. The TU makes a ch sound like chicken. Temperature. Remember, it's 3 syllables. Temperature. Not temperature, not 4 syllables, but 3. Temperature. This is the temperature gauge. This is the temperature gauge. And it's very important. It lets you know the temperature of your engine. It lets you know if your engine gets too hot. Because if it gets too hot, you can damage your engine. So the temperature gauge is very important. So you need to check the temperature gauge to make sure your engine doesn't get too hot. Let's practice. Why do you need to check the temperature gauge? That's right, you need to check the temperature gauge to make sure your engine doesn't get too hot. And this is called your fuel gauge. The fuel gauge lets you know how much gas you have, or how much diesel fuel you have, depending on your engine. I don't have a diesel, so I check the fuel gauge to see how much gas I have. You can also call it a gas gauge. So you check your fuel gauge to see how much gas you have. Let's practice. Why do you check your fuel gauge? That's right, you check your fuel gauge to see how much gas you have. And this gauge has 2 names. You can call it a tachometer or you can call it the RPM gauge. Let's call it a tachometer. With the word tachometer, the CH makes a K sound. K, tachometer. You check the tachometer to check your RPM. RPM stands for revolutions per minute. It's how fast your engine is turning. When you push the gas, the tachometer goes up. That's how fast your engine is turning. Again, RPM, revolutions per minute. The tachometer is important if you drive a standard. You need to check the tachometer if you're driving a standard. It's very important. Let's practice. Do you need to check the tachometer if you're driving a standard? That's right, you need to check the tachometer if you're driving a standard. It's very important because you need to know when to change gears. So remember the 4 important gauges in your car. You have the speedometer, that's the most important gauge. You have the temperature gauge, that lets you know the temperature of your engine. You also have the fuel gauge, that lets you know how much gas you have, or diesel fuel, depending on your car. And don't forget the tachometer, or the RPM gauge. That lets you know how fast the engine is turning. And remember the pronunciation, gauge. Use the long A sound. 1 gauge and 2 gauges. Make sure you check your gauges.
So I gripped the wheel tighter, checked my gauges, and made my move.
Every single gauge is broken.
The gauge is starting to move. Look, Kate!
I don't know. The auxiliary power's out, so the gauges don't work.
And keep an eye on that number 3 engine gauge over there.
You watch these gauges?
Well, my gauges must be wrong.
Hello! Today we're in Los Altos at a Corvette show. These are Corvettes. These are antique Corvettes. They're from the 60s. When you talk about decades, use the. These cars, these Corvettes, are from the 60s. Look at these wheels. The center of the wheel is called the hub. This is a hub. The hub is the center of the wheel. And that's why some companies call their headquarters the hub. Example, Delta Airlines hub is in Atlanta, Georgia. It's their headquarters, it's their hub. And also, when we look at the wheel, the center is the hub, but this wheel cover is called a hubcap. So it has 2 names. You can call it a hubcap or a wheel cover. It's called a hubcap because it covers the hub, the center of the wheel. These are old hubcaps. Let's take a closer look at this Corvette. This is called a bumper. This car has a chrome bumper. That's the material, chrome. The car has a chrome bumper. And this is the exhaust pipe. It's made of chrome also. Be careful, it's hot. The exhaust pipe is always hot. And what comes out of the exhaust pipe? We call it exhaust. Exhaust comes out of the exhaust pipe. This car comes in 3 sizes. The real size, and the car had a baby. The car had a baby, and the car's baby had a baby. This is the car's grandchild. This Corvette's from the 70s. And let's talk about pronunciation. Corvette. The T is a stop T. The E is silent. Corvette. Corvette. Pronounce the V with voice. Corvette. This is a nice Corvette. Look at this Corvette. It has a big spoiler on the back. This is called a spoiler. It comes from the action spoil. Spoil. This is a spoiler. The action spoil means to ruin. And this spoils lift. It ruins lift. So your car doesn't fly away. This Corvette has a small bumper, a small chrome bumper. But this is a grill. It's a chrome grill. Just like you cook meat on the grill, this is also called a grill. Let's take a look at this engine. That's a nice clean engine. You can also say motor. So it's one thing, it has 2 names. You can call it an engine, or you can call it a motor. This Corvette has a nice clean motor. We can see the motor in this car because this is open. But what is this? It's not a door, it's called a hood. That's right, this is the hood and the hood is open. So we can see the motor, we can see the engine.
Yeah, this is soft top.
This is a little red Corvette, just like Prince said.
This is another Los Alamos version of this song. Salon. This is a $100 gift certificate for a very nice haircut. I think it's probably more than a haircut too. This is one of my favorites, Corvette Lego basket, donated by Tiki Monkey Toys. This is really cool. Number 28, 1770524.
Let's talk about the things in the car. This is a special mirror. This is called the rear view mirror. Pronunciation, rear meaning back, and view, rear view mirror. This is the rear view mirror. And we have more mirrors. These are your side mirrors. We have one side mirror on the right side and one on the left side. And these are called visors. Use the long I like ride and bike. Visor. I have one visor and two visors. And this car has no roof. It's a convertible. Pronunciation, converta. Verta. Use a fast D. The T changes to a fast D. Verta. Convertible. This is a convertible because it has no roof. And this is the dashboard. Pronunciation, use the short A like black cat and apple. Dash. This is the dashboard. This is an old dashboard because this is an old car, but it looks nice. And this is a compartment. Let's open the compartment. It's a glove compartment. Gloves. You put your gloves in here. That's why it's called a glove compartment, or you can call it a glove box. What's in the glove compartment? Paperwork. Yeah, I keep paperwork in the glove compartment. I keep paperwork in the glove box. And this is a wheel, but it's a special wheel. It's a steering wheel. Steer is the action, meaning to control the car. You steer the car. This is a steering wheel. You can use the action, the verb steer. Steer to the right, steer to the left. Pronunciation, steer, like ear. Steering wheel. This is a steering wheel. And this car is not an automatic. It's a stick shift. That's right. You change gears with the stick shift. You can say this is a stick shift, or this is a standard, or this is a manual transmission. This is the stick shift. And what do you do with the stick shift? You change gears. Or you can say you shift gears. That's right. Shift is the action. But remember, before you shift gears, you need to step on the clutch. That's right. That pedal on the left, that's called the clutch. You step on the clutch and then you shift gears. Remember, we don't say shift the gears. No the, just shift gears. Step on the clutch and shift gears. Because it's not an automatic. It's a standard. This is the dashboard and this is the instrument panel. On the instrument panel, you have a lot of different gauges. Pronunciation, gauge. Use the hard g and the long A, like say and pay. Gauge. Gauge, gauge. These are all gauges. This is the oil gauge, the temperature gauge, and this is the speedometer. This is the speedometer. It tells you how fast you're going in miles per hour, not kilometers. This is America. We use miles per hour. And in the center of the steering wheel, you have the horn. That's right. You push the horn. Oh, it works. The horn works. So what is the action? This is the horn, and the action is honk. That's right. I honked the horn. In the past, I honked the horn on accident. So you push here and you honk the horn. When you honk the horn, usually it's because you're angry. So you honk at people. You honk at other drivers. If you're angry, you use the horn and you honk at other drivers. This is a special window. This is called the windshield. So you take two words, wind and shield. Together, windshield. But you don't really hear the D because it's a stop D. Windshield. You make the position of the D but don't release D. Just windshield. This is the windshield. These are your windshield wipers. Or for short, you can just say wipers. Turn on the wipers. It's raining. The action is wipe. They wipe, so they're called wipers. If it's raining, turn on the windshield wipers. And when we talk about mirrors, we don't say look at. Normally, look at me, look at that. But for mirrors, we say look in. Look in the mirror. Look in the mirrors. Or for a car, you can say check. Check the mirrors. Check the mirrors before you change lanes. Remember, we don't say change the lanes, it's just change lanes. So always check the mirrors before you change lanes. Hey, what color is this car?
I think it's dark blue.
Is it black or blue?
I think it's dark blue, very dark blue.
It sure is clean.
Yep, and shiny.
Did you wash it yourself?
Nope. It's my first time in a car like this.
Nice.